Hi everybody, my name is Charles and welcome to another exciting after movie topic video. Today's topic is talking about what is supposed to be the emotional climax of the movie and wondering if they were actually able to nail this climax. And of course that is the bet scene, or the dare as it's called in the movie. Now for anybody who's read the book, which if you're watching this video I imagine that a lot of you read the book, but in case you didn't, what happens in the book is actually very different from what happens in the movie. Now, what happens in the book is that instead of a dare, it's actually a bet that the big reveal happens at the very end of the book. And in the book, it is actually a bet between Hardin and Zed to pretty much like who can take Tessa's virginity first. And then what happens is that when Hardin wins, he actually shows the bloody sheets to his friends. Now, in the movie, it's actually changed to Hardin dares himself. Oh boy. Okay, I promise this is not going to turn into me screaming for 20 minutes. I promise that that's not what this thing's going to be. But yes, in the movie, it's revealed that Hardin dared himself to get Tessa to fall in love with him, and then he'll turn it off like that. Do I even need to say why that sounds actually stupid? But anyway, let's go ahead and say this first of all. The scene in the book never would have happened in 2019. There is no way, no matter what kind of adaptation they got, whether it be a movie or a mini-series on Netflix, like no matter what happened, this scene never would have been untouched. Because even Anna Todd has said in interviews that every time she thinks about the bloody sheets, she cringes. You know, she wakes up in a cold sweat, and that's like one of her big regrets about the book, is that she wishes that she never did those damn sheets. Now, yeah, like this never would have happened in 2019, so it was always going to get changed. But I have always said from day one that it could have been different. Like there was actually like a common middle ground that they could have found between ain't never gonna happen in the book and what we got in the movie. Because one of the big things is that I actually took a friend of mine who had never read the book, who didn't know anything about the film, who doesn't know anything about Hessa or Zed, Hardin, Tessa, or like any of these characters. She does not know a damn thing about anything of this thing. And she did not even realize that something happened at the end of the movie, which that's a pretty big failure given the fact that the final 10 minutes of the movie is literally hinged on that one moment. All the emotions that we're supposed to be feeling is actually hinging on that one particular scene. And that's where I think that they really dropped the ball on this. Because here's the problem. Because again, I know that they could never do the scene as is in the book, but there really is a common middle ground between, and I know I'm repeating myself here, I do apologize, between, ain't never gonna happen and what we ended up getting in the movie. I do not know what that middle ground is, and I really will open up the comments to see, like, okay, like, what would you guys wanted to have happened? Completely understanding that the book was never gonna happen, that they were never gonna be able to just do the scene as is. So the problem is that even though these actors are really giving it their all, and this is what I've always said from day one, that I will never blame the actors. I will never blame the actors for what happened in the movie, because again, they have no control over it. They really don't, and you can see these actors really trying to pull these emotions out of them. You can really see that they're trying to give this scene their all, even though they probably know in the back of their head that this is that is stupid, that this is not really like what was in the book, and that this is not even coming close to making you feel that same emotion as to what is in the book. The only time when you actually do feel any emotions here is because it's completely on the actors. It has nothing to do with the script, because continuously throughout the scene, the script lets them down. And also, one of the big things is that I know we've all been focused on Hardin's personality being changed, but let's face it, they changed Molly's personality in this film too. Because in the book, I mean, she is just digging in that knife. I mean, just digging in the knife of this betrayal, just like really relishing in all of this. And, just seeing Tessa cry, like relishing in all this drama, just like digging in that knife. And you never get that moment. I mean, to the point that even Tristan, played by Pia Mia in the movie, but she is a guy in the book, even at that point, even this guy is like, okay, this needs to stop, this is enough, and so he pretty much is just like, shut the fuck up! She's had enough! and we never get that moment in the movie, and nobody in the group is really kind of pulling Molly back or kind of begging her, hey, look at this, you're going too far with this is not right, this is not, I mean, look at what you're doing to this poor girl. Because again, we never feel that emotion, because she never really digs in that knife, she never really goes full throttle with it. So even that little, shut the fuck up, she's had enough, even that would have felt out of place if they put that in the movie. And so again, one of the big issues is that going forward, that entire scene, I know there are a lot of scenes in the movie where, where they have to get it right, like the lake scene. I mean, they have many scenes in the movie that you have to get right, but this is literally the scene that this is your all or nothing scene. Either this scene's gonna work and we completely are so invested in this relationship that we get our hearts ripped open and it literally ripped out, and it literally is the emotional climax. It literally is the thing that drives not only towards the end of the movie, not only towards like the back half of the movie, like the final 10 minutes of the movie, but it also should be, but we also should be going into the second film, the third film, with this emotions, because it literally drives everything going forward. And the problem is that they really did let this scene down. And again, I understand that this scene never would have been able to be done as is, but there really is a common middle ground between, ain't never gonna happen and what we got in the movie. Because with this thing, again, and I've said this before, I said this in the watch along commentary, it really is this silly thing where I'm surprised that nobody looked at Tessa and said, hey, by the way, he dared himself. That's what makes this scene all the more stupid to me and makes it all the more head scratching and head banging, is that he dares himself. I mean, like, not even anybody else in the actual, scene where he actually dares himself. Nobody else is actually daring him to do this. He's doing this himself. And not only that, but here's another big issue that I take with this scene. They tone down Hardin so much that all right, let's just talk about the book for a second. In the book, when this big reveal happens, Hardin is such a gigantic mega douche, throughout the entire book, that you believe that he would have done this. That even though you can kind of start to see him changing, you believe that he would have done this. You believe that moment. But in the movie, they tone him down to such an extreme degree that you never actually believe that he would do this, that the Hardin as presented would ever actually do what he did. And again, I would have liked to, I would not have been happy, but let's just say for a second here that we always would have gotten the dare. Well, why did they not have, one of his friends dare him to do it? Like, why did they not bring the friends in here? Why is it that he dares himself? I mean, watch that scene again. Watch when she's actually holding up that cell phone and showing the footage to Tessa. He says, oh, you don't think I could do it, do you? All right, well, here's a dare. I'll make her fall in love with me and then turn it off like that. That's what he says. At no point is there any of his friends they're the ones who are daring this. He dares himself, which is like one of the most stupidest things I think I've ever heard. And again, why I always say there is a common middle ground between ain't never gonna happen and what we got. And that's like one of the big problems that I have with this scene in particular, because again, this is the big emotional climax. This is the crux of the entire movie, that if you don't nail this scene, then you are not going to be emotionally invested in the next 10 minutes. You're not going to be emotionally invested in the next movie or the next, or like any time that they bring this thing up, you're not going to be that emotionally invested. And that's what pained me while watching the movie, because as you guys know, I do the read-throughs. I do the read-throughs of the entire series, and I did this particular chapter twice. Once from Tessa's perspective with the first book, and then once when they put out like a bonus chapter in the movie tie-in edition, in the movie tie-in edition of the first book, from Hardin's perspective. And again, it tore me apart to do this sequence. And I even said it on Twitter. I said it on Facebook that like, oh, I'm gonna have to pull out every single acting muscle that I have to bring this scene to life, to actually read this scene, because that's it. Like this is the emotional crux of the book. Like this is the emotional climax of the book, and this should be the emotional climax of the movie. But again, they let these actors down with that script. Jenny Gage let these actors down, and I want to hope and pray that Anna Todd did not approve of this, that this was also yet another reason why Jenny Gage had to go, why they had to make, such changes to the next movie, or why they had to say, okay, Anna Todd is now officially taking over, and now we're going to go more toward the books and, all that stuff. We're going to make it more like the books to a certain degree. I know that they're not going to be able to go full bore with like with the books, but they'll make it more like the books. And I want to believe that this is one of the scenes that kind of caused that to happen. Because again, you let these actors down and you let the audience down. Because if I can literally sit there with a friend of mine who does not know frame one of this book, she doesn't know anything about the books, that she can literally sit there and after the movie when we're sitting there talking about it, and I could be going on and on and on about, oh, well, this happened in the book, like, oh, no, like this is like the big change that happened in this scene from the book, and she looks at me and just says, what the fuck are you talking about? Like, what are you even talking about here? And she did not even realize that this scene had happened, because that's how little of an emotional impact that it left for her in particular, and for me, and I'm sure that there are others out there who feel similar to how I feel. And that's why, I always say that, like, there is a common middle ground, but this was not it. This is going so far in the complete opposite direction that you were over-censoring this thing, that you were over-fixing it. And I get that. I get that you do have to make changes. I get that you're not going to be able to do the scene as is in the book, because, again, you have to believe in this relationship. You have to believe that once these two kind of come back together, you have to believe, there has to be a believability in that these two can come back together after this, after this bombshell, like after this big thing happened. But again, there is a middle ground. It's just not this. Now, I don't know what that middle ground is. That's why I'm kind of opening this up in the comments for you guys to pretty much, talk about down in the comments, like, okay, well, like, how would you have done the scene? Or like, what is a middle ground in that particular scene? Because there really is a middle ground. It's just that this is not it. Like, this is not, and I'm sorry to keep getting emotional about this sequence, but it's like, this is the one scene you had to nail. You can fail every other scene in this movie. That is the one scene that is like, this is like your all or nothing thing. This is literally the emotional climax of the movie. This is literally the thing that, just pole vaults us into the final 10 minutes of the movie. How we're supposed to be feeling this broken up about this relationship, how we're supposed to be feeling about, like when we see them crying, or Tessa, tearing up, or, Hardin sitting in his dorm room, brooding and, like feeling the hurt, feeling the pain. We're supposed to be but again, when you don't feel that scene, when you don't nail that scene, none of the other parts are earned. None of the emotionals, stuff that you're feeling in the next 10 minutes, it doesn't feel earned. And that's the big thing. You had to nail the scene to earn the emotional feelings that you will feel in the next 10 minutes. Because again, it literally, pole vaults us into the final 10 minutes. It literally brings us into the final 10 minutes of the movie. And so, yeah, I'm sorry to get emotional, but again, like, this is the scene that you have to nail. This is the scene that you just have to get right. And I feel like they really dropped the ball on this scene. I have some other issues with other scenes in the movie, but this is the scene that I feel like is literally one of the worst scenes of the movie. And that's not on the actors, because when you look on their faces, you can see that they're trying. Any emotional feelings that you have is because of the amazing performance of Josephine Langford and Hero Finds Tiffin. I'll say it before, I'll say it again. They carry this movie every step of the way. And that's just it. They carry this movie. That is it. Anything that you're feeling is because of these two actors, because you can see they're trying. You can feel that emotion. You can feel that betrayal. You can feel all this, but the problem is that the script is letting them down. The script let them down. The producers let them down. The studio let them down. The director let them down. And I will never blame the actors for this, because they are just doing their jobs. And I'll always say that I can guarantee you that if you talk to them, if you actually were to sit across from them and get them to talk about the movie and, maybe even talk about this scene, they would say, oh, we don't agree with this. We don't agree with how this scene played out. We don't agree with this because, like I said, and I even read this little article to you guys on the channel. You can find it on the channel talking about like how the After movie came to be made. But I read this article where the one line that always stands out to me in the article is that, Josephine Langford did not want Hardin's personality to get changed. Hero Finds Tiffin did not want Hardin's personality to get changed. Anna Todd did not agree. He did not want Hardin's personality to get changed. But they all were overruled by Jenny Gage, and I feel like to a certain degree, if you were to sit down and talk to them, they would say the same thing about this scene, that they did not agree with what this thing got turned into, because it really, I'm going to keep repeating it, he dares himself. That's it. Like, they go from the ain't never gonna happen bet to he dares himself. And I'll say it before, I'll say it again, there really is a common middle ground to do this scene. There really is a common middle ground where you can, between, ain't never gonna happen and what we got in the movie. There really is that middle ground that you can find, but unfortunately they didn't find it. And I think that they really dropped the ball on this sequence. So jump down to the comment section below. Let me know what you think. As always, thank you so much for watching. Thank you so much for your continued love and support. I really do feel loved and supported by this fandom. To go through all the stuff that you'll be able to find on this channel, every single day I will be doing daily uploads of the read-throughs of the entire After series. The first 2 books are already up on the channel to their completion. I'm working through After We Fell. I will be going through the entire franchise, including the book before. They will be daily uploads, barring any types of personal illnesses or issues, so keep looking forward to that. Now that we have the green light for the After We Collided movie, I'll be bringing you guys so many updates, so many constant updates on that you guys will be begging me to stop the updates. You'll be like, Charles, buddy, pal, mate, buddy, pal, we're updated, stop, we love you, but stop, man, we're so updated, leave us alone. Every other day, I will be posting different thoughts on different topics that come up in the After fandom. So if there's a topic that you guys would like to see me talk about, you can leave it down in the comments, or you can find me either on Twitter or my email. All the relevant information is on the About section of the channel. As always, if there is an Afternator out there that you guys know who has no idea about this channel, as I'm sure there are plenty of Afternators out there who don't know about this channel, go ahead and share the channel with them. Let's continue to grow the channel. And remember, I'll see you later. Afternators. Love you guys.